Hi Liam, thank you for your video on nuclear power. I found it really interesting, and to just get a calm perspective on it rather than sort of environmentalists sometimes kind of put it in a corner. So today, Liam, I want to talk to you about sustainable aviation and how we go about making flights and air travel sustainable. It's a bit of a tricky industry really, because all the stuff we try to tackle climate change is on a smaller national scales, but air travel is a global thing and it's a very international thing, so you try and do one in one place. It doesn't really kind of all fit together, so you've got to have these big commitments to reduce the emissions from air travel. Air travel has become really cheap over the last few years, so demand has skyrocketed and it's predicted to only grow up until 2050, along with trying to fight its climate change commitments. And also the question is it sustainable to grow this industry? Is it sustainable for people to keep flying around the world? Can we maintain this and protect our planet at the same time? This is a very tricky thing that we need to work out. So direct emissions from the UK aviation industry is about 34 million tonnes. So that equates to about 6% of the total UK emissions of CO2. That accounts to about 7.7 million homes worth of emissions each year. 90% of that is from international flights and about 10% is from domestic flights. There are fears that emissions will keep rising unless something is done to reduce these emissions back down. Especially with increased demand, people want to go on holiday more. There have been several agreements. The ICAO, which is an international governing body for aviation, they have agreed to reduce their levels of emissions based on 2005 emissions by 2050. Now, despite this being a huge task in itself, we have to think about how we really go about dropping these emissions. And there are some groups trying to advocate this. Some airlines are really pushing this forward, and some are sort of hanging behind. The newer the aircraft, typically, the more fuel efficient it is, but these efficiencies are very small, and they only do it when the airlines upgrade their aircraft. One group that's really pushing this is a group called Sustainable Aviation. They are an organisation in the UK that have several different member airlines, have industry contacts, have airports, and they all work together to try and improve sustainability. And they've actually created a few roadmaps that set out the projections of how they're going to achieve this. You make the aircraft more efficient, you reduce their weight, you change the flight patterns, and then things get a bit more technically difficult. You have to look at biofuels. Biofuels typically have not been that great because you need to have large areas of land and huge amounts of crops to then put into the airplanes. It's just not sustainable. We've looked at palm oil before, and it's just not a way of producing enough fuel to keep up with demand to fly on these planes. The biofuels they are looking at are biofuels from waste products and agricultural waste, but also to look at biofuels from algae. At the moment they're looking to blend the fuels with petroleum fuels like the paraffin that they use in airplanes. Whilst you look at the wedges that they use to map out these projections of reducing emissions, a huge chunk is still devoted to offsetting from the industry. So really the industry is never going to be sustainable unless we have a revolution in technology. I was recently playing the Solar Impulse that went around the world on solar power. We're a huge way off of making this work in a commercial scale. This is just a pioneering project that can show how things may help. We should really be looking for ways to help the aviation industry come out of this issue and really tackle these challenges that they've got. They are trying really hard. The airlines are lagging a bit, it's all like a bit of lip service. I think they realise deep down that this is a problem, and as a company they're going to be facing very big issues in the next few years. Despite trying really hard to fix their emissions, I think that they're going to be looked as the bad guys. Aviation is unique in that respect, delivering the emissions straight up to where they're causing the problem. And for us to be able to offset the emissions down here, we'd have to plant forests and put in renewable power. Why that's all very good, it still doesn't solve the problem of fossil fuels. One day we're going to have to stop burning fossil fuels. I really think they need to think bigger, and I really think we need a breakthrough in this field. Environmentalists really need to turn their energies into trying to find solutions for this problem and support the aviation industry. If we push against it, it's only going to push back. People are going to fly everywhere because we're in a more connected world. Now this is a very short overview, and I probably will want to go into this in more detail in a future video, especially looking at these sustainable fuels. Thank you for listening to my video, Liam, and I'll see you on Wednesday.